What's up, geeks and gamers? It's Jeremy coming to you with another video, and today we are going to talk about the president of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, because there's about, I don't know, 12, maybe 13 people out there that still think this woman doesn't have an agenda against Star Wars. Well, I'm going to continue to give you more facts, and this is exactly why Star Wars is dying, because this woman that you're looking at right now had an agenda from day one, and it wasn't to grow Star Wars or to honor Star Wars. It was to push a pro-female agenda. That's it. So let's listen to it in her own words. How about that? Let's go.
That opportunity was afforded me. It's really put me in a position to make decisions that affect a lot of the women that I work with today that I think has made a huge difference. I mean, the fact that I can sit in a meeting and say, I think the protagonist should be a woman.
Should be a woman, huh? Should be a woman. By the way, that chick is hot. I mean, it's obvious. That chick's hot. I mean, everybody that's watching this is going to think that. I want to go ahead and state the obvious. So Kathleen Kennedy, the protagonist should be a woman. That was her initial thought. That it's not about what story are we going to build, how are we going to honor Return of the Jedi, how are we going to build for the future, how are we going to honor all of these characters and respect their legacies and give them proper send-offs. It's protagonist should be a woman. Okay.
I think that those are the kind of changes that are really, really important in our business, and that was the beginning. That was the opportunity that afforded me that position.
And I want to hear Steven Spielberg, with Lucas, with your husband, Frank Marshall. You were comfortable and unfazed.
Look at that. The most powerful woman. The most powerful woman.
Were comfortable and unfazed by the fact that you were surrounded by a lot of men. Have things changed? I mean, I've seen some of the numbers, but have things changed for women?
You know, it's interesting. I don't think things have really changed that much, and it's something that is very, very perplexing, because the media tends to go after the statistics on women directing and women writing, but it's really more to do with women getting involved and getting jobs in all aspects of the entertainment industry.
How about the best person gets a job? Crazy, I know, I'm sorry. That is really misogynist of me. That is very, 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 very mean and disrespectful for me to think that the best person, the most qualified person, the person that has put the work and the effort into getting a position should be considered for that position. Such toxicity coming from me. I'm so sorry.
And that's what I feel hasn't changed. I just recently went to a Saturday Night Live taping, and I was sitting at the front row of the balcony, and I leaned over and I was looking at a number of the people on the floor operating camera and stage managing, and all of a sudden I was like, I turned to my husband, I said, look, there are no women. And it was 1973 that I was hired as a camera operator, and there are still no women. And that's just, it's completely unacceptable.
So it's completely unacceptable that there's all of these men that have these jobs that they worked for, they trained for, they pursued. It's so unacceptable that these goddamn men have these jobs. So Kathleen Kennedy, can you tell me which one of those men should lose their jobs? Based on the fact that they're just a man, right? Because you don't know, you're not even looking at it going, these individuals are qualified. No, all you're seeing is they're just a bunch of men. Where are the women? Not about qualifications, right? No, not at all.
I have no idea why we can't change that.
And you're in a powerful position. You're now running Lucasfilm. You were handpicked by George Lucas to do this, and you, for many reasons.
A man handpicked a woman? Oh my God.
And said yes. Can you talk about what you're doing today, not only hiring women at Lucasfilm, but also in producing the new Star Wars episode, what you've done to instill more strong
one of the
characters.
things, I mean,
strong
the fact that
female
the company
characters
was bought by the Walt Disney Company has been amazing, because they very much support the fact that we are trying to grow in the workforce, a number of women in executive positions and in all positions inside the company, and with the movies that we're making and with the protagonists that we're putting in the stories. So I get a huge amount of support with that. But we have 50% of our executive team are women. Mm-hmm. And 6 out of 8 of the people in my story group are women. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be surprised that we're making Star Wars movies and the majority of the people involved in the development of those stories are women. Mm-hmm. And
could you imagine a man sitting on stage and highlighting the fact that we are so proud that 6 out of 8 of our story group are men, and we're going to continue to empower men. We're going to continue to push men forward. I would say the same thing. Like, who cares? Like, just hire the best person. I don't give a shit if it's a man. I don't give a shit if it's a woman. Hire the best person. This is clearly agenda-driven nonsense. So again, there's a few of you out there that still don't seem to get it. I'm letting her give it to you in her own words.
And I think that it's making a huge difference in the stories that we're trying to tell. I feel it is going to happen. We are going to hire a woman who's going to direct a Star Wars movie. I have no doubt.
We are going to hire a qualified person. How about this? Kathleen Kennedy, I got a crazy scenario for you, okay? I know, this is really crazy idea, but what if you actually set up on stage and said, we are going to hire the most qualified person for a Star Wars movie? It's going to happen. I know, I'm sorry. I apologize. It's my male patriarchy just showing. I'm so sorry.
Somebody in that position who's set up for success. Mm-hmm. It's not just a token job to look out and try to find a woman that we could put into a position of directing Star Wars. And it is interesting because I have a huge number of men who call me constantly and tell me how much of a Star Wars fan they are and how much they want to get involved in anything to do with Star Wars. I don't have a lot of women who call and have those conversations with me.
So admittedly, she has a lot of men call her and express interest in Star Wars, knowledge of Star Wars, passion for Star Wars, and want to get involved with Star Wars. But admittedly, she doesn't have a lot of women. It speaks for itself.
Now, that's not to say that there aren't Star Wars fans out there and women who have been, their careers have been shaped in some way by Star Wars if they're in film, but it's not in the same way that it is for men. So that's one of the challenges that we keep talking about, is if we do want to bring a woman in to direct a Star Wars movie, we want to make sure that it's somebody who's passionate and really, really wants to do a Star Wars movie. We don't want to talk somebody into it. Mm-hmm.
And just on that note, I actually got to go to the Star Wars celebration last spring, and I was really struck by how many women, entire families were there. There were a lot of Princess Leia's.
This chick has no idea about Star Wars.
In also helping to shape the new female lead character in the new movie.
It's one of the first things JJ and I talked about, and that we talked to Alan Horn about. It was a very early decision and a choice, and something that we worked a long time to develop.
So one of the first things they talked about, it wasn't, hey, what type of story do we want to develop here? Luke Skywalker is obviously the icon of this entire franchise, and there's going to be a lot of anticipation for Luke Skywalker's return, and there's going to be a lot of anticipation for Harrison Ford and Han Solo's return, and Princess Leia and Carrie Fisher. How are we going to maybe put those three characters together? As that moment that so many fans have been waiting on. No. JJ and Kathleen, their primary focus was, we have to get a whammon. We have to get a whammon in this movie because we respect whammon. Not about the mythology, not about the history, not about, worrying about what the fans want to see. It's about what does our agenda require.
Developing. I think the interesting path we've had is the conversation that took place around consumer products. Because there were a lot of companies that were in place who, frankly, didn't initially feel that Star Wars was for girls. And when you have a company...
Star Wars fans out here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when
It's like
you have a
7
company,
women there.
situation where between Lucasfilm and Disney, we were all looking at this situation and saying, no, with Star Wars, we have to change this. We have to make sure that we create products
This is just,
that are, in a sense, appealing
just listening
to both boys
to
and
Star
girls.
Wars
What's
die
wrong
right
with
now.
that? I mean, even with simple things like T-shirts, there's a fantastic story with this young woman who came to Lucasfilm in 2009. She plays the character of Ahsoka in both Rebels, and she also had a role in Clone Wars. And she came to Lucasfilm in 2009 saying, why aren't there clothes that are tied to Star Wars for girls?
Respect
And
women.
she struggled for quite a while and then put a company together called Her Universe. And it's doing unbelievable business. And it's in fact, the T-shirt that I ran down on the Comic-Con floor and grabbed and put on before the Comic-Con convention. But that's an example where, you know, it just shows that anybody who steps out and does something of quality, they find that there's plenty of young girls and women out there that are just as interested as the boys.
Mm-hmm. And you've made a lot of other changes at Lucasfilm. I mean, it's gone through quite a transformation. You taking over, turning it more into a studio again, being part of Disney. Can you talk about some of the other
This
big
is so
changes
cringe
that
to
you've made over the
listen
last
to.
3 years?
Well, I would say the most amazing thing is that since the company has been bought, how we've been able to scale every line of business inside Lucasfilm because of the partnership with Walt Disney has been incredible.
She never talks about
obviously
story.
knowing a lot
She
about
never
how to make
talks
movies
about
and how to
any
put
of
the
this
production
stuff within
department
Star
together.
Wars. It's all
But I've had
about
only
business
limited
and
experience with
whammon.
all the things involved in consumer products, the innovation inside technology.
I'm gonna have to cut
with
some of
consumer
this.
Products, what's going on in the theme parks, digital interactivity, the gaming that was being developed. It was so much more than anything I had done in just creating a movie. That by working with the Walt Disney Company and realizing that we had all these different lines of businesses that were supporting what we were doing, it's really literally been 3 years today that the company was bought, and we're doing things way beyond what we ever imagined. I mean, it's extraordinary, the amount that we've been able to create with television animation, everything to do with the game that actually is being released within the next week, Battlefront, the movie that's being released in December, one that we're halfway through shooting right now.
Schedule. Can you...
It's insane. We start the next Saga movie in January. I couldn't have done any of this without the support that I'm getting from Disney.
Without George Lucas handing it to you? Because you were a
actually
glorified
hard for me to
secretary?
keep up with what we've been trying to do since this all started. It's pretty much of a whirlwind.
Were you always a Star Wars fan?
I was a Star Wars fan in the fact that I had already decided to become a film major in college.
That's a no.
The movie came out.
That's a no.
And there's no question that it was a groundbreaking
That's a no.
movie. I mean, what George Lucas created right from the moment New Hope was released, I think anybody and everybody, certainly that was studying film like I was, recognized that he had created something.
That was such a dodge. No, you've not been a Star Wars fan. You've probably never seen Star Wars.
Inside the company that I still find the most interesting, which is that George recognized that taking stories to drive technology was one of the most important things you could do. And that's something that we continue to do as we develop our stories. We keep looking at where can we start to push the technological boundaries to do more than we could have ever imagined.
And no pressure at all, but you've got this huge weight on your shoulders because you've been given the keys to the Star Wars empire. And people are, I mean, this is one of the most anticipated movies of, in a decade probably. Huge legacy. What do you want your legacy to be, other than hopefully a very successful movie and many more?
You know, it's funny because I've never really sort of sat back and thought about legacy, but I would say that now that I'm so deeply involved in taking what George created and being a part of this amazing partnership that's going to take it into the future, that I'm enjoying being a part of creating that architecture, of structuring something around hopefully making more and more stories within a universe that I think is incredibly rich for future storytelling. And that's what I love. And nurturing the talent, not only in our company, but new people that we can bring in, has been incredibly rewarding, because I'm running across people all the time that just want to be a part of this. Mm-hmm. And so I would say that that's what I would like to have a part in probably moving forward, is the innovative technology alongside the people, the resources of people that we can bring into this.
Well, we are out of time.
Oh my God. Okay. So, I just don't like this woman. I don't like this woman. It's clear that this is all about identity politics with her. It's all she talks about. That's all she's focused on. And it shows within the movies, the storytelling. I mean, you look at everything that's happened up to this point. You've had The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, Rogue One. You've had Battlefront 2, all just female leads. Again, nobody has a problem with women. We have a problem with women being treated like circus animals, and that's exactly what Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy are doing. She point blank said it herself, that she has men call her all the time about Star Wars, and she doesn't have many women. That's because it's predominantly men that grew up with watching it and having interest in it. And if there are women that are interested in it, they will strive to get to that level. But you and Disney and Lucasfilm continue to think that they need your charity jobs, and they don't. And so this is in her own words. So if you can deny her own words, where she says point blank that, yeah, I'm in a position where I can make decisions now, and I can make the woman a lead in the movie, and I can push women forward, and I'm so proud that 6 of the 8 people in our story group are women. I'm so angry when I see a bunch of men working in an industry and there's no women. I get so angry. It's like unbelievable that this type of mentality exists in people in Hollywood, but it does. Imagine having that type of mindset where you go somewhere and you see a bunch of people working and doing a job, and your first thought is, that's not the gender that I think is appropriate. Have you ever driven past a house, Kathleen Kennedy, and seen a bunch of men roofing and go, where are all the women? Where are all the women? Have you ever done that, Kathleen Kennedy? Of course you haven't, because you don't care about having more representation of women within all industries. You care about pushing your agenda into whatever industry fits your narrative. You are garbage. You have ruined Star Wars, and hopefully you won't be there much longer. But anyway, that's her in her own words. If you can deny it, feel free to deny it. You guys have a great day. I took this one for you, for the team, to sit through that woman's voice. God, just listening to it is painful. Anyway, you guys have a great day. We'll talk to you later.